If we juxtapose two seemingly unrelated events, something quite fascinating emerges when we understand the difference between them. After Sarah throws Hagar and Yishmael out of the house, the Torah tells us that they ran out of the water, and the situation soon became perilous. Hagar leaves her son Yishmael, the Torah says, Ki amra al eret b'mos hayaled. I can't bear to see what's going to happen to my son that is going to die. It's too difficult to watch him die of thirst and hunger. Yocheved is no longer able to hide baby Moshe, and not knowing what is going to happen, she builds this wicker basket and she prepares it, and she tries to make it as buoyant as possible. It's going to float down the Nile River. She doesn't know what the future is going to hold. And Miriam, following the request of her mother, realizes there are no other options. And what does she do? She waits to see what is going to happen. It's the same scenario. There's nothing that can be done. The child seems like is going to be lost, is going to be gone. The potential for disaster is great. But two opposite reactions. Hagar can bear to watch, but Miriam stays to see. And perhaps you'll say, maybe Miriam was simply inquisitive and curious. She just wanted to know what was going to happen. She didn't do anything great. But Chazal tell us, the Gemara and Sota, that is not the case. She got tremendous reward. All of Klal Yisrael waited an entire week when she had Saras as a reward, as a schar, for her having waited just a short amount of time for Moshe in the Teva. What's the difference in their reactions? The difference in their reactions was if they put themselves into the equation or not. Hagar says explicitly, the only reason that I'm not going to wait and to see what happens is because she could not bear to see what was going to happen, to see her son die. But what would have been better for him? What would have been better for Yishmael, having his mother stay nearby in his final moments? But Miriam stayed with Moshe, knowing there was nothing she could do. But she disregarded her emotions, tried to be there with Moshe, because how could she leave him alone at such a time? And Moshe Rabbeinu exhibited such a trait as well in our Parsha. Torah says, Vayar b'sivlosam, he saw what is happening to them. Rashi says, Nasan einav v'libo, he put his eyes and his heart into seeing the plight of Klal Yisrael, and that was the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu. How do you see with your heart? It's because he internalized what it was that he was seeing, and he allowed it to affect him. We see many things going on around us, but we don't always assimilate that information and incorporate it into our essence, into who we are. But that's what Moshe was able to do. That is a Jewish trait, not of chesed, but of nosei ba'ol im chavero, carrying somebody else's burden. And it is that trait that is fundamental to being a Jew. It is the passion that is in compassion. It is what we are tasked with doing when we see somebody else suffering. It's not just if we can help, but it's simply bearing the burden together with that person. And there are times when the news is too difficult to hear, but it's critical that we find that balance of making sure that we don't expose ourselves to everything, but at the same time we don't shy away because of it's too hard for me. If it's going to help somebody else, and again, it's a delicate balance to find, but finding ways to empathize is a critical component of Klal Yisrael and what we need to do be'ez Sarah. It helps others carry the burden when they know somebody is together with them. And that is the challenge of making sure that we have this midah of Moshe and this midah of Miriam, of being there for other people, being there with our brethren who are having difficult times, showing them in whatever ways. And sometimes we need to think, why is it that I don't want to see something? Why is it that I'm reacting in a certain way? How do I make sure that I feel what is going on? So that we should be part of the tzara, carry the burden together with them, and that hopefully soon HaKadosh Baruch Hu removes those burdens and brings us a Yeshua b'mheira v'yameinu. Amen.